Welcome everyone, it is Dylan from Class 1A bringing you another My Hero Academia Vigilantes chapter breakdown. This week we have chapter 117, the bad one, and just hold up, get your tissues out because it is a rough one. Let's get into it. We open up the chapter back in the hospital where Pop begins to have a seizure. Her vitals are not looking good at all. Well, and there it is, page 1, Amori crying. Back in the Kaiju number 6 versus Koichi fight, the Crawler is finally beginning to understand the true power of his quirk. Though this is the attack Pop warned him to never take again. In his confliction, he sees Knuckle Duster again, who tells him just to give him a knuckle sandwich and to stop worrying so much. He's a villain after all. He just needs to punch his nervous system at the top of his head to win. And honestly, I don't know how to feel about this, man. I mean, last chapter we had like the huge tear-jerking moment, like tugging at your heartstrings between Knuckle Duster and Koichi, where he gave him the final bit of advice before he was like actually dying. And he just like comes back and is like, oh hey, just like, you just need to punch him, which I actually think is totally fine. I think Furuhashi has perfectly nailed the tone of My Hero, of where you have this really serious moment and then you undercut it with a little bit of humor just to relieve the tension just a little bit, but it's paced out enough of where it's not like a sudden departure and it's too jerking. It like hits just the right spot of where you get the emotional impact, but you also get the humor in there to relieve it a little bit. Now Koichi's still not on board with going all out, until Pop begins to talk to him, which obviously she's on team punch him. Now, this isn't quite the reunion I think we were all envisioning here, but wow, it is incredible to see. I mean, at this point, it's been like probably the majority of the series of where they've just been separated, and now we finally get them all back together. It's through weird means, obviously, but they're here and they're all together, and wow, it's just incredible to see. Koichi then explains that he doesn't want to go all out because Pop was so against it. He doesn't want her to hate him. And then she says it doesn't matter, because no matter what he does, she'll always love him. Alright guys, I'm at a loss here. I'm at like a total loss. Like, we got it. We got the confession. I mean, it's like through weird means because it's like, Koichi kind of bleeding out, and it's like, is it spirit, is it ghost, is it Koichi just having delusions? But we got the confession. She said that she loved him. Now, in Volume 10, there's an extra section where Betancourt put up this illustration. A family in World What If. And seeing that, and seeing this, and seeing all of our vigilantes on the brink of death, it's a lot to take in. I'm infinitely hopeful that this is the world that we're going to end up in at the end of the day, but until then, we just gotta hope that's where we end up and keep pushing along. And then Pop gives her blessing to Koichi to go full plus ultra on number 6's ass, telling him to get it done, hero. And we end the chapter with Koichi delivering 3 air punches, leaving 3 giant holes in Kaiju 6. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Vigilantes might be better than the main series right now. And I know it's like finale bias, because at the end of the day, this is supposed to be the biggest moment in Vigilantes. These chapters here leading up into the end are supposed to be the best that we're gonna get. And I understand that bias, but wow, it is just so good right now. Okay, and these 3 characters really are the heart and soul of Vigilantes. I mean, they're the reason why the series is just so good. It's not because of Fat Gum and Eraserhead showing themselves, occasionally in the series is what makes it good. It's not that. Furuhashi has made these 3 characters amazing, and seeing them all together again is just incredible. Now, the question is, are these visions real? Is what Koichi is seeing with Knuckle Duster and Pop really them? Is it like their ghosts kind of brinking into the afterlife a little bit of like Knuckle Duster, who's clearly dead, I think, at this moment, kind of showing himself to Koichi, or Pop kind of like on the brink being able to reach out to Koichi? Or is it just because of all the blood loss and all the adrenaline that's pumping in him right now, leading him to see these characters? And honestly, I don't think that matters, because at the end of the day, their bond is just so strong and they've connected together so well that whatever Koichi thinks Pop might say in this moment probably is what she would actually say in this moment. So it doesn't matter if these are real, if it's not real, because at the end of the day, Pop loves Koichi, and Koichi knows that now, and that's all that matters. And the one thing that this chapter really underscores very well is Koichi as a character and his power level, because when you're in the chapter by chapter view, you might see Koichi just getting a whole bunch of new things, right? He's just a character that just got a whole bunch of new powers and quirks and is super strong now. But that's not really the case, because Koichi was like a very strong character to begin with, he just had everything suppressed as a kid. His quirk was just put down, and it was more of like just slide around, not float around or anything like that, or being able to manipulate it to its fullest ability. But in all of his mentors, he's been able to bring some of that out. In Knuckle Duster, he learned how to punch. With Ingenium, he learned how to go really, really fast. And with Captain Celebrity, he knew how to make it go all over his body to form a shield. And in this moment, where he needs to fight for his life, he's bringing out all of that at once and bringing out everything he has in him. And that's why he's so strong right now. And it's hard to see that in a chapter by chapter, but like once you take a look back at where he's gone from like chapter 1 all the way to here, it makes a lot more sense. Now, I'm not saying that like that was the original design, or like Furuhashi originally planned for him to gain all of this power over time, or if it was kind of like a pivot as like the tides were turning. But you know, that's a little bit of explanation of why Koichi feels the way he does right now. So the question is, what happens from here? Like, where do we even go at this point? Is it just going to be a fight and it's going to end? I think it's going to be amazing because we now have Ultra Instinct plus Ultra Final Form Koichi, who's going to go full out, totally unlocked at this point. Like, he's unreleased from his, like, metaphorical shackles now. He is ready to bring the business to number 6. And we're going to see that in the next chapter too. And we need to still figure out what's going on with the Naruhata crew, because we saw them, I don't know, like 5 chapters ago or so, coming towards Koichi. And they wouldn't be, you know, showing up at the end of the fight for no reason. They have to contribute to something. I think it's probably going to be getting Koichi over that last step of like, he needs to give his final percent out to defeat number 6. And this is going to be it, his friends showing up to help support him. I think that's what's going to happen with them. And of course, what's happening with Pop right now? I think this is more of like a justification for like what we see with Divisions of like, hey, we're going to leave it a little bit ambiguous. Is it Koichi, or is it they are they really kind of like ghosts in the afterlife reaching out to them? Is it a mixture of both? Like, what's going on? I think that's what's happening with the seizures in Pop right now. And I think that's kind of why that is happening. I don't think she's actually going to die. I think she's going to be fine. She's going to stabilize, and we're going to get a real reunion between the two. Maybe, if Koichi lives through it. Regardless, I think this fight is going to last maybe 1 or 2 chapters left. I know I said that like at this point, it's the beginning of last year at like 2021. I was like, you know what? This chapter is going to go on like, you know, 2 or 3 chapters. The fight's going to be totally done. And obviously a year later, we're kind of still in it. But at this point, it's the final form of number 6, and really the final form of Koichi, who's bleeding out. I think we're going to have to wrap this up very, very soon. It's going to be 1, 2 chapters maybe of this fight left, so expect like all the fireworks at this point. But regardless, I am infinitely excited to see how the rest of the series is going to pan out, because I'm really in love with it. It's such an amazing series, and like it's so close to my heart because like I love My Hero. My Hero is like my favorite series of all time at this point. Like I'm so invested into it, and Vigilantes has been incredible. Such an incredible ride throughout, and we have such amazing characters. I'm excited to see how it ends. I hope you all are too. But that does it for Class 1A. My name is Dylan. Please subscribe, and I will see you all next class.